Good morning, everyone. This is TCOY again, and I actually have to show you guys this build order. It's quite amazing how strong Macedonian Dynasty is. I've been hesitant to play them because I felt they were frustrating to play against, and honestly, just to show you guys a bit of a history, I've played these last, let's call it 12 games, and I just reached a diamond for the first time in my Age of Empires career, if you could call it that. You can see the diamond 1 year, and honestly, there's a lot to learn, obviously, with regards to micro and those type of things, and I think that's probably something I want to cover in the near future. But I know I'm not as good as the top 100%. 1% players of Age of Empires 4, but I do know the basics, and it's something I want to share with you guys today. So I won't waste your time. If you like the content, please give me a like and a follow. We're playing against Fred today. He was a really good guy. Really made me work for it, but I'll show you why I say that. So with the standard Macedonian Dynasty playstyle at the moment, the meta, and this is a Beastyqt build order. If you're interested in, you can go have a look at my previous video that I posted where I kind of broke down the build order and just what it entails and testing it out, because I wasn't sure if a build order from a streamer would work if I try it, because obviously it's a lot more to it. But this was one of those build orders where I actually really enjoyed playing it, and I really like how defensive it is, because that's generally more of my preferred playstyle. So I have immediately all the villagers on food. First, one of the villagers builds your Varangian war camp, goes back onto food, and depending on what type of civilization you play against, like Ottomans or even Order of the Dragon, surprisingly, that was quite difficult. I take two gold, and I sometimes bring a third one over against Ottomans, Macedonian Dynasty, or even the English if they want to do that earlier rush with some villagers, or a tower rush from the Mongols, just to have that protection. And then I use that villager, I build a tower with the third villager, keep the 2 on the gold, and then you'll have 3 on gold, which is pretty safe. Or you can even transfer that third villager over to wood once he's finished building the tower. Once you're done with that, you pretty much rally everything onto food, up to 10 villagers, and there's like a bit of a timing thing that happens with your villager. One thing I also saw, I saw the scout, I heard actually the scout move the deer in the back, so I knew he was behind me, so that gave me a really good scouting route. You'll see me, if I do the fog of war here, I knew he was behind me, so I just did a zigzag across the frontier, just so I can pick up as many of these sheep as I can in the back, because I know I was kind of ahead of him. And I spotted the cart just for a brief second, and I found myself watching the map a lot more with this civilization, because you don't have 1,000,001 things to do like with China and all of that at the beginning. Then you take 4 villagers to age up with your Imperial Hippodrome, and this is what you're going to do 99% of the time. I can't imagine doing something else. You can see, I have idle time here, not enough focus to get everything smooth yet, so there is a bit of wasted time for me to train villagers and all that. You can see he's 1 villager ahead of me, but the main focus is I go from food, you keep 5 on food. You can see there's a scout and maybe some pressure happening there. Keep 5 on food. I've gone 6 on food because I kind of know what I need these days. 3 on wood really does work for most matchups. As soon as you see many spearmen, I would actually still keep this same build order up to fast castle. And once you hit castle, I'd probably go half on food, half on wood. And often you'd go 10 on gold as soon as you age up to castle age. But in this scenario, I'm just going to stick with the standard build order. But if there's a lot of spearmen, I would actually transfer over to wood a lot sooner. Another thing I'll show that I didn't do in this game, but often works in your favor, just to give you a bit more of a map awareness. I've scouted out the enemy and I know where the food and the priority is for them, and kind of the meta at the moment is you have to get out on the map. The sooner you move away from a farm transition, every single farm is an extra unit, and you can use that to create pressure, you can use that to your advantage, right? I don't care as much about his base because I am protected for an early rush. If you want to all in, I think you're going to struggle against the civilization, and you'll see this game I didn't even play perfect because you want to make sure you have a little bit more on wood. You can see here 3 on wood there, 4 on wood here, because I want to get my Varangian arsenal, because if you don't have the arsenal you lose out on all the silver that you produce. You can see I'm only on 85, but as soon as you have the arsenal you actually get that extra bonus, extra 12% of silver every minute based off the total silver deposited at the influence mine, right? So you get 12% extra, which really adds up. So the more villages you have on gold, the more silver you have, the faster you get your upgrades, and that's applicable for stone as well. I'll show you guys a little trick that I end up doing here. So did I do it? I actually didn't. I didn't use the villagers to go get the stone. Often I go get stone just so I can get those upgrades. So against Sengoku Dynasty, I know they use these little yatais, and that's their econ, which is really strong. Like this guy's sitting on the deer and he's getting extra 60 food per minute. That's like 1.2 extra villagers, which means he's technically, with this deer pack, 48 plus this one, 3 villagers ahead, plus the one that I forgot to train. And there's a third one over here, which means I'm already like 5 villagers behind, right? So I waited for my second horseman, and you can see I have my scout available as well, but I immediately went for the yatai just to try and get rid of this, because they're really tanky. 370 health, really strong unit that doesn't die very easily. You can see how far it is from the base and how much work I have to do to kill this. I microed it with my scout by putting the scout on 1 and these units are on 4. Sorry about that little window opening. And then I would actually micro and pause the scout in front of him so that he has to go around the scout, which gives me a few extra shots in on it. And all I'm doing right now is forcing him to think differently, because everybody has a build order in their mind, right? But for me, I want to make sure I'm isolating the food sources on the map or isolating the gold. I actually didn't even go for this yet, by the way. And at the same time protecting myself. Now, in my scenario, if you look at the map, right, just as an analysis, he has a back gold and a front gold, which is utilizing right now. I have 1 gold at the back, and if this is finished, I have to move quite significantly a lot further for my second gold forward, which would be putting me in a very difficult situation. So, you know, the spawn is not in my favor over here. I do have the double berries and my deer at the back, which is huge, but he also has the deer at the back with some berries here and some berries to the side, so, or behind rather. So safe berries on his side, safe berries on my side, safe food on my side. But ideally we want to make sure that we're progressing into that age as soon as possible. So I'm training a few extra horses because what I wanted to do is either torch down the outpost or force him to spend some resources. And that's the main thing that I've learned going from plat to diamond, is you're not just focusing on a build order, you're focusing on learning your micro. So I'll show you what mine is. That's my scout there. Units usually I have running around on 4. If I know I'm going to build with these villagers, I'll generally have them on 5, because that's my next thing that I need to do. Town center is on 2, and then I know F1 is production buildings, F2 is your lumber camp and mill, F4 is town center and landmarks. And that's generally, units that are places that I pop around there with, and then double tapping 1, 2, 4, 5, and that's how I get around and make sure I get to my upgrades while I'm out on the map. So I can be with 4 busy fighting, quickly press F2, W, which brings me back here, press 4 again on my units, and I carry on fighting, right? And that's just muscle memory and something I've been training, and it really makes a big difference. So now we have a few extra units, even population capped. I have that extra house that came up at the same time. So timing wise, you don't always go for 4 horsemen, just if you know there's an economy advantage for your ally. Not necessarily at 2 town centers, more so you know, people that have imperial officials that needs to supervise the food. Often they pull the mill forward, or even onto the berries with China, and then they farm the berries, right? You want to force them to build a tower, force them to build a wall. There's another tower here, right? Double barracks. So you're forcing the enemy to produce or use resources, which keeps him idle from going castle, and that's what you want. You just want to castle age faster than the ally, so that you can use your stronger knight units called your Ridari, and we'll talk about that shortly, just how to play around with them, right? So causing a little bit of idle time here. You see, I even go for a little greedy pick on a spearman and try and torch down, but I'm not trying to lose my units. Another thing is the scout and your hippodrome horseman, they actually heal. So you can see this scout's health is 1 per second or something like that. It's going to heal up really quickly, so that's quite nice if you can keep hold of them. I scout this out, and I think I accidentally hit this and make him move. But I don't want this to leave, because I'm actually rotating with my units over to come and kill this. So my scout ends up backing off or getting attacked only before I move it. This was my mistake. So I run away with the scout, and then I wait for this to get further away from the base, just so I can actually go for the attack here, so I can see him. And now we go for the attack, just to get another Yatai. So putting a lot of pressure on the map. He has some spearmen that is moved over here. He's still watching what I'm doing with the scout, and we're aging up. Beastie always says go with 8 villagers on your Golden Horn Tower. Placement, so that's a big one. I've actually lost a few games just because I've placed this Golden Horn Tower in the wrong position, right? What I've done with this one specifically is just to secure a very aggressive approach from the enemy, which is always going to be forward, and ideally I wanted to stop a flank and possibly just cover a idea around this gold. If I had to go onto this gold, that was an option if the game went on late, but primarily it gives me a bit of safe stone just to build a second castle, which I could use to transition over to here, or even towards the sacred side and berries, and just get a bit of map control. I've made a mistake, like most people would go and just place it on top of the gold here, but that can't protect your base, and this landmark is insanely strong. The crossbows that it has in place is going to rip through any armor units. It's going to, once you garrison villagers in this, it is a menace of a tower to deal with. I actually lost a game against a guy that played Macedonian Dynasty against me, where he just torched it down with the Greek fire. So it is killable with mass feudal rush. That is very possible, but if you play this right into your units, you'll definitely have a successful day. I would also not put it on berries, because that's a finite resource. Gold, you also have the tower secured, and if you get a bit of stone early, you can upgrade this, which does give you a bit of security. But your main focus is trying to get that micro in with your units, forcing him to focus on other things, and forcing him to, you know, spend resources somewhere that it wouldn't, you know, because you can see his resources at the moment is focused on the wood line, and it's not heavy on gold. Every now and then I come and check how heavy is going on the gold. Sacrifice 2 little sheep there for him. Got the second Yatai, and we just want to run off with these units, and I think I ended up mismicroing him. We can see the rally point there and over here, and this rally point, I don't know if it was it wasn't an attack move, it was just a move forward. And this is something, you know, I've just aged up. I'm trying to get the Imperial Hippodrome. You want to get a monastery down. Another mistake I often make is when you age up, you'll always have about 200 wood in this order, right? I'm sitting on 8 on wood right now, but that is after I've built the landmark, right? So I've pulled off of the food. I had 10 on the landmark just because I wanted to get there a little bit faster. Then I'm transitioning onto 5 to 10 villages on gold, but in this case I'll only stayed with 5 for a little bit just so I can get a little bit more wood. You'll always have the choice to make a second stable or a monastery. I often go for a monastery, then try and get a second stable done and then transfer over. That's just personal preference, and the reason why I do that is so that I can get the production going. Also, if you've noticed, this specific game, I haven't even built my Varangian arsenal, so I've lost, 9 minutes of 12% of silver of that total resource, so 600 plus 200 plus the upgrades. Often you get your wheelbarrow, your double broadaxe and your pickaxe upgrades at this time as well. So now we're moving into the Yatai to try and push here, but this was just a attack move or a move. It wasn't even, you can see there my units are standing still. Not a very good fight to do, but your Hippodrome Horseman actually has quite a lot of health and damage. So he managed to stand its own versus 2 Spearmen, which is pretty cool. But versus the Dynamo, I'm not going to survive that fight. So I'm just trying to make this unit survive, get away from the base. And he's still, playing quite safe, massing Spearmen right now. Our main focus is going to be to scout out, gather information. Ideally, if you didn't lose that first scout, it's going to be good. But now I have my Radari coming out, and generally if you play this right, you'll have your first scale barding upgrade and your first blade inlaying done, and you would start with your second scale barding at this time, right? That means you have a Radari with 6 6 ranged armor and 5 melee armor with 26 damage. That is insane, right? If you compare that to a normal unit like this, they're 18 damage. You'll out damage them every single time. It's such a strong unit, the Radari, but they are expensive. They're really expensive. So we got a nice little pick there, which works in our favor. He's still not going very heavy on gold. I never even got to this yet, which it is what it is. And here I just sacrificed Radari, unfortunately. That was a mistake on my end. But I also saw his army because of it. Often if I start training a lot of units, I would attack move close to the gold. Because if the units are moving about, you sometimes get an extra villager or 2 pick on the gold. So our focus now is to transition into what we've seen in the base. These guys are pretty cool. Oh, 50 food. I didn't know that they extra send food back. I didn't know that. So what I do is, at this stage, I want to secure my food resources. I want to create some safety net for myself. So I'm just going to speed up here. I'm getting my upgrades. I'm getting the double stable to train some Radari. And I don't want to fight right now. The main focus I have right now is I'm watching him age up, if he's aging up or not. And I want to focus on relics. So 1, 2, I've already picked up a few relics over here. You can see 2 deposited over here. And if you train about 3 prelates, that should be fine. Anything more than that, I think you're wasting. Because you can just move with the same prelate onto the next one and just pick up those units. So that scout just ran in, created idle time over here. I don't think I got a pick. All he's doing is rushing with 21 villagers onto his landmark because he really wants to get up to the age up, right? Which is good for us because we've already secured the relics, and now we're gonna focus on fighting, right? So we know he has archers, we know he has spearmen, and I don't want to fight that with Radari. I often win those fights because we have so much melee armor and the high damage. You often win it with enough Radari. So you can go full Radari and you get the extra crossbows, which is great. But you also don't want to delay. Like your goal should be around 15 minutes. You should be already inside the base. 12 to 15 minutes, you should have Radari inside your allies' base. If you're scouting out and not seeing a lot of unit production and they're going for 2 town centers or anything like that, just push onto that base quite quickly. This was the weirdest wall I've ever done. I just walled in dead space. Like, who walls like this? Like I said, I am not a pro player. I am just learning and trying my best to grow and watch these videos and see where I can improve. But this is a formidable army. Like, I'm 15 archers and 19 spearmen versus pretty much a full. That's a full counter comp, because the spearman counters the knight and the archers counters your crossbows. So this should be winning this fight, right? Okay, let's see how this goes. So I have my next two relics coming in, and you'll see I'm going to get another monastery done. I often use my gold villagers to build, but I'm sitting on 16 on my wood, just trying to make sure the wood production keeps going, because I'm transitioning into those archers. Now this is something interesting, you know, like with the Ayubids, or I can't remember the black flag, that they have the camels, right? And the camels give you a debuff. If you have archers, which I don't have right now, and you get this specific upgrade, it actually gives the enemy, no matter who it is, if it's a knight or if it's a spearman, 20% reduced damage. So if you just have archers behind your knights, you're going to give the ally reduced damage. And because you have such a high health unit, 260 health with so much damage, you're often going to win these fights. So definitely worth going into archery ranges sooner. And all I'm doing now is I'm trying to bait this towards my tower, which is not happening. And I'm looking at this fight, I'm like, okay, cool. Two things can happen. I can trade out with spearmen, which is not in my favor, or I can use the high health units, which I know is not defending his base, and a person that just castled up, and I can go and create as much chaos as I can, because with 6 ranged armor, you're really going to make a big difference in the game, right? So I pull these units towards my tower, and I just run straight for his base. Now's where the fun begins, because now is where you get tested to micro. I have villagers getting pulled this way. I have units to react to this knight. I'm pulling wood villagers off of the front, and I pull them to the back because they are getting pressurized here. And he's gonna try and make chaos over here, and my units are right on top of his base. You can look at the villager difference now. I've already gotten a few picks. So on the micro side of things, look at this unit. It's taking 2 to 4 damage per volley. Your ranged armor is just impeccable, and if it's 1 or 2 spearmen, you're gonna manage picking off the units. You're always gonna be an advantage. I think I see these villagers starting to come in, and my focus on the main base is just having some control. So my villagers are garrisoned in the tower and in the town center. He can't push this because he'll just die, and those units get the pick underneath the town center. And now I'm transitioning to get more picks. I'm pushing onto the wood, scouting, just making as much chaos. Even if I lost these units, I still got the lead because of the villager count that I have, right? Now it's just transitioning into those upgrades, and your units just get stronger in time. And if I had to choose one last thing between this Ramphia upgrade, which gives you an extra 3 damage, which is insane. Imagine that means the Radar is going from 25 to like 29 consistent damage. That's like your charge damage for most units. This is just the Daimo, upgraded Daimo. That's why he has 29 damage, but it's 1 unit. All your units have that same damage, right? And same health. So it's pretty crazy. So if I had to choose, I would probably go for the scale barding, the 3rd armor upgrade, range armor upgrade, plus your blinding, because that plus the extra armor means they do reduce damage, and you have extra health, which just runs away the game. So that's pretty much the build order. I know it wasn't a perfect game. You can see idle villagers here, 1 random ball, moving out onto food where I can. Again, just moving units to counter what's going on, and that's GG. But leave me a comment below what you think of this build order. It's a build order from Beastyqt. I've played 12 games. I've lost 4. but because of the way rank system worked, if you win against a higher ranked opponent, you gain more points. If you win against a lower ranked opponent, you get less points and lose more, so that's how it works. But yeah, it took me 12 games to go from Platinum 1 to Diamond for the first time ever. I hope that was insightful. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a good day. Cheers.